Spiral throwers. Beginning of a new break-in process here. Going to use the iPhone to record a lot of this. These are two Nike Vapor Elites. If you're a frequent channel watcher, then this is something that you've seen before from me. I got this one direct from Big Game. This has been through a mudding process here and a couple of trips to the practice field, so it's a bit dung up, but very solid ball. Squeak test, great. This is one I just got from our friends here in Ontario, Litzen's. If you haven't checked them out, you ought to. You can get my card there as well, and we can start working on your balls. Pause. A couple of differences I noticed in the balls here right away I wanted to make note of before I started the process. So right off the hop, laces are the same like suede, lowish profile laces, but a few differences I noticed right away. On this ball, you have the Vapor Elite logo, and I'll spin this around to this side so you can see. And you have the Big Game USA with the NFHS stamp. This is the National Federation of High School Sports in the States. It means it's a game legal ball. And here you don't have that, which I thought was kind of weird. Not really sure why that is or why that changed. And then on the other side, same thing, same stamp. And over here, nothing. Some of the Vapor Elites I saw today, specifically the pink lace one, had a big NFHS, try and say that 10 times fast, stamp on one of the bottom panels, one of the lower panels, I guess to really drive that home. My guess for the reason that they've done that is that it's hard to stamp a ball at this sort of, I don't want to say level of precision, but you're more likely to run into cosmetic issues when you're this close to other stamps, right? Than when you put something large down here. If you're ever wondering, hey, Joey, like, how do you know that? What makes you think that? Well, I'll tell you what makes me think it right away, is that when you get these custom balls, you get to pick the colors and everything, and there's no stamp. But if you get a player or letter or number stamp, right, you get 4 characters, I think, it goes on these panels. So one of these bottom panels will be where you see your player stamp or your number stamp, as opposed to near the Vapor Elite thing or somewhere else. So my guess is that they started to have problems with some of these balls and stopped stamping there. I will say this leather feels great. Like, I really want to like this ball because I said to you guys before on the channel, the silhouette is so nice, and I think that this is great on both sides of the ball. Some of the Wilson balls, though the leather is, I think, superior, the gap between the laces and the stripe, the stripe, whether it's painted or stitched, I think varies ball to ball. And pretty clearly, there's a difference in the dive angle from the laces to the tip on some of the Wilson balls. Maybe because of production, maybe because, as a genuine leather product, you expect to see some variance. But playing quarterback, I've noticed that in a few of the balls I have. Not all of them, but some of them from Wilson. So I'm going to break this in. First thing I'm going to do is brush it, and I'll record some of that today. And we're going to get this nice and dark. And we're going to try our best, just for fun, since I plan on selling this ball at some point, to avoid these stripes during the process. These are painted on, and though the mud is easy to get off, if you damage the stripe, you may not have a good time trying to sell it. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I hope you guys enjoy the process. We'll talk a bit about some of the products that I use and the process itself, obviously, as we enter that part of the video. So stay tuned. We're back. Okay, so in keeping with the theme of the content on this channel, I've put my new Vapor Elite in what looks to be a Taliban hostage video setting, and we're gonna brush this guy. So a couple things I'll talk about beforehand. These laces like to get dirty. So if you're ever thinking about, well, I kind of want to brush near the laces or mud near the laces, just know that they will get dirty. It's not the worst thing in the world, but some people will tell you that they don't like a dirty lace or they feel like the dirty laces are harder to grip. I personally don't have a problem with that, and actually some of the balls that I have and throw, the laces are a little bit dinged up, they're scuffed up, and they have mud on them, and it doesn't make a difference at all. This logo is not as resilient as the Wilson logos are. So if you ever buy a ball from Nike, you'll notice this is just a heat stamp, and the Wilsons are a little more, it feels to me, difficult to muck up as part of this process. That said, I'm not gonna go to my way to avoid this. I'm gonna brush softly and often, and so try not to scuff this up, because you will scuff it up if you dig like I did on my other ball. These stamps, as I mentioned earlier, I don't know what these will be like. I'm not sure. but we'll find out as part of the process. I'm going to stay away from the white stripes as much as possible just to preserve them. And you're going to see a difference in the way this leather looks. Because I don't know if I'm going to be able to sell this, who knows if people like orange, right? I'm going to brush this and mud this down to my spec. And my spec is very, very low dimples, very, very shiny, tacky finish, and very, very, let's call it, I'm looking a lot more at feel than I am at color. So here's the F2000 I throw that I broke in for myself. Shiny as all hell, dimples are almost all the way down, and everything you drag across that is gonna make a nice squeak sound. So that's a preferred style for me. And that's what I plan on doing with this ball. So first things first, Wilson brush. This is something you can buy on Amazon or buy at your local place. Litzen's again in you know, officially Flamborough, I think, but Dundas has this as well. Comes with a tack bar. It's about 30 bucks or 35 bucks. I have two of these brushes now. One brush I keep specifically for mudding, and the other I keep specifically for this sort of brushing and rebrushing balls that have already gone through the mudding process. Well, why? It is a huge pain as someone who now sells broken in balls regularly to wash and wait for brushes to dry. It's just too much. So I figured to myself, spend another 30 bucks and get two brushes. That way you can get people their balls back faster, which is what you want. And you know, at 40 bucks a ball, I'm making enough to cover my time, but also if I need stuff like this, you know, it's not going to break the bank once in a while to get a new brush. And man, does it ever feel good to brush with something new. So let's go over the technique a little bit. This ball obviously is brand new. And so you can kind of see that there's some markings on here already, as you would expect in a leather product. It's not perfect. You don't want perfect. The grain is going to be imperfect. You're going to see different wear on the stitching, for example, or on the seams and around the laces and the stripes and everything. Don't forget, these balls, to get this heat print or to get this paint on the ball, there has to be a treatment underneath this leather. I'm convinced of that, though I've not actually verified it myself. Same thing with the heat stamp, same thing with the stitches. So you may expect to get a little different break-in, and I'll note that one of the balls I have for sale right now has what I would call a dead panel in terms of absorbing color. So if you look at this Wilson F2000, it's not too bad. This is a really good color, really nice ball. And you can buy this one, obviously. It's on the Instagram page, Dundas Valley Prep. But if you look at the last panel, that top right panel is just a touch lighter than the others. So it's got this nice kind of sunburst finish. To be honest with you, I think this ball feels really good. And unfortunately, since they don't make the U-Sport ball with just a painted stripe anymore, I may end up having to keep this ball and throw it myself unless one of you guys wants it. But something to be aware of when you break a ball in, you may find that a panel is not taking mud coloring as well as the others, even though the feel is about the same. So let's start brushing this. Brush. We're just going to sit this down here. Light strokes. Nothing wild. You can brush in circles. What you don't want to do, in my opinion, is what a lot of guys on YouTube do. They claim they want to brush off or remove the, you know, treatment that's on the leather. You got to work with the treatment. Shaving cream is for your face, as the guys at, I can't remember if it's Caleb at Grip and Rip or someone else says that on Instagram. I think it's 100% true. You don't want to dry the balls out with shaving cream. You want to just work with what you got. Sorry, I had to take a sip of coffee there. Been a long day. Hopefully you guys are having a good day. I am having a good day. Don't get me wrong, but it's been busy is all. I have a newborn, as you guys know, who's about, I don't know, 7, 8 months old now. I think she turns 8 months pretty soon, actually. What an incredible ride having a baby, by the way. Truly wild stuff. So we're just gonna brush like this. I'm gonna do one panel here pretty good. So I can already see, you may be able to see in the light, that the seam is gonna be a different color once it's all done than the panels are. I personally don't care about that, but I mean, some of you guys might. I think there's unfortunately a community of people out there who care a lot more about how a ball looks than how it feels, and that could not be more wrong in my opinion. But anyway, I'm gonna brush this tonight. We'll come back and see how it turned out. Okay, spiral throwers. So we're back here, a little bit of a different angle, still the same Taliban hostage video setup. This has been brushed for I don't know, total time, 20 minutes, let's say. I'm doing it on and off the last little while since I got it yesterday. And now we're going to do the conditioner step. I will say this Vapor Elite leather, I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's really nice, like I said yesterday, nice silhouette. It brushes in really even, but it's not quite as grippy as the Wilson leather, at least not at this stage, if I compare a ball from the Wilson catalog to this. But we'll have a look at it here. I'll just bring it closer to the camera. So everything brushed in, even. It's darkened up a little bit, not a ton, but you can see the places that it's really darkened up here, like the tips. Try to stay off the white stripes as much as possible, like I mentioned before. And you know, you can see a bit of a difference in color there between the laces and the rest of the ball, but hard to tell in the light. So now, if I can find a decent kind of place for the camera, I'm going to do the leather honey. So I got my gloves, okay, Dexter style, and we're just going to give one good stripe. I wish I could see how this looked, but I guess we'll find out here shortly. Maybe I'll just slide this over. No matter how many videos I make, preparedness, not changing. It's always at 0. Okay, it's always at 0. So we got the leather honey here, as always. Simple, you guys know the deal, okay? I put it on the white stripes as well as the logos. Rub it as much as possible. I don't tape the laces for this part because I want that leather honey to get into the top of the ball area there, so just near the laces. So you can see it's darkening up that ball quite a bit. I'm actually going to move this blanket out of the way because, you know, let's face it, if I do get it dirty, my wife's not going to be happy. I think we got that in, I don't know, Mexico at the airport or something. I forget now, but anyway, so you're going to put a generous application of this stuff on, like always, okay? The big thing for me doing this part of the process is that you want the ball to have perfect coverage because you don't want certain parts not taking the dye or not taking the leather honey, I should say. So I see a couple parts here that I don't love the absorption on, so you just rub that in a bit. I actually have a wedding to go to tomorrow night, so I'm going to wind up leaving this for, yeah, it'll be 36 hours minimum if I had to guess. What time is it now? It's about 7 p.m. So about 36 hours minimum. Rub it all in. Don't be shy. Laces are suede, but I do try and avoid them because it's annoying to have to clean laces or wait for them to dry and all this other, you guys know the deal. You know what's up, okay? So there's one panel. You can see the difference there between panel 1 and panel 2. Somebody asked me in the comments today if I had any thoughts on using a heat gun for this step to help dry the ball. I don't do it. I guess you could, but like on this channel, I've really preached one thing more than I've preached almost anything else, and that's patience. You know, you can rush this stuff. I mean, I'm doing this for as a little side gig here, and still I tell people when they ask for a ball, like, I'm not going to use heat gun or anything. Nothing is going to be rushed or forced or anything like that. If you're looking for speed, then I might not be your guy, and I understand that. But, you know, I think that the most important thing, honestly, is just making sure that the ball has time to absorb the products in a, you know, natural-ish setting, let's say. God, I might have to use this towel after all. Yeah, in a natural-ish setting, just because you don't want to force it. You know, you don't want to force it. You're supposed to enjoy this process. I know I do. And talking to some of you guys over the last year or so, you guys seem to enjoy both watching it and doing it yourself, which is nice, you know. Leatherwork is rewarding, and this is leatherwork at the core of things. So, you know, enjoy it. So you see I'm putting on like quite a bit of this stuff. This is the best conditioner, I think, for footballs because the balls really are made of tough Horween leather. Whether you're talking Wilson or Nike or Adidas, they're all made with Horween leather. And this stuff is meant to be durable. As I've said many times before, if you're into boots, you know this because Horween is like the leather of choice for high-end boots. And, you know, the reason it's the leather of choice for high-end boots is because of its durability, because of its different finishes. Horween does a great job with leather stuff, and so why would you not expect to see it in footballs and baseball gloves and all these things? So just trying to get as much on here as I can. And finally, we'll do the last panel. Get a good lube up here. Make sure you get near the laces, not all over them. Don't smother the laces. I don't worry about the valve stem either, or whatever that valve is. I will say, I was kind of deciding which color to get yesterday, and had the navy one. So, you know, navy stripes, navy logos, navy finish, whatever, navy detailing. But this one really, when you see the orange in person, it pops. It's nice. It's nice. I was saying to my wife yesterday that, first of all, she can't believe how much support you guys are giving the channel, and how many people are you know, interested in having balls done by me, which is great. But the other thing she can't believe is how many different options there are on footballs. You basically throw the thing for one game, it looks completely different than when you get it. But everybody has a preference on color and on stripes and on stitches and on everything, right? And I said, how's it any different from anything else, you know? Once you drive it off the lot, it loses a little bit of its luster, a little bit of its shine, but it's still yours, right? And so we're not doing anything different here in the football world. I got a game tomorrow morning, actually, and I'm looking forward to that. I'll be throwing tomorrow, so I have to do a little grease work on an F2000 probably. So I'm just going over some of the finer points here, some of the places that maybe don't look like they're taking the leather honey as well. I want this to be a really nice finished product because everyone loves these balls, and I've not found one that I really enjoy throwing outside of the F2000. So, okay, there you go. Slick, okay? Even P. Diddy jealous of this finish. All right, so we're going to leave this 36 hours, let's say. I figure I'll probably get to this 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, something like that. See how it dries. This is, by the way, a room temperature area. This is like my basement. Behind the phone is my TV. So, you know, nothing special in terms of temperature or humidity or anything like that. It's cool. It's dry. It's a basement. All right. There you go. Greasy. See you in a day and a bit.
to push people as far as they could go and to pit people against each other.
Have them call you on the phone and kind of trick you into saying something about someone that
Sharp. Looks great. This is the finished product. What we see here is a very clean, even, I'm going to back up from the mic here, even finish. Couple things I'll note. Over the year or so of doing these videos, sometimes I get people asking me questions about leftover dirt. Okay. So you can see here on the ball, there is a little bit of leftover, what I think is just dry mud. It doesn't make a difference in the way the ball feels. So I think it could be that it's in the dimples and you don't feel it, or that it's just a weird color issue, but the ball feels great. I want to add two things here. So with this ball and with a few others, I have done one new step in the process. So after you mud, you take a light, microfiber cloth, towel, whatever, and you're gonna wipe Lexol 2 just a little bit lightly over the ball to get the mud off. Leftover mud dust, I should say, not the mud itself. You don't want to rub too hard because you'll ruin the color, and a lot of you guys like that, and I appreciate that. Okay, I don't necessarily agree that it's the main output you should be looking for, but you guys like the color, and that's fine. So you won't take the color away, but you will condition the ball and help the ball finish stronger. The other thing I did is I took wax once the leather conditioner dried, and I brushed it again, and I used a horsehair brush to apply it. You get a more even coat that way. I actually just sold my Adidas dime to a young fella and told him the same thing, that if you're gonna use the Wilson brush, I would say use it once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever. But really, you want to be using a horsehair brush to apply mud, or to apply wax. Sorry, I think it's just a better idea. And the bristles on the Wilson brush are hard on the ball. Great for initial break in, not so great for continued maintenance, in my opinion. Um, Other big thing I did after the wax, I took a second horsehair brush, a tiny bit of mink oil, which costs like $10, $12 on Amazon for what's basically, years and years worth of the stuff, and just dabbed a little bit on the brush and brushed it into the ball. Now, at first, that'll make the ball very slick. Let it dry. And what you end up with is a really soft, tacky finish. This ball is for sale right now on the Instagram page, Dundas Valley Prep. I think it's a reasonable price. You guys seem to be enjoying buying them. You're driving from all over the place, which I can't believe, but I think it speaks to a couple of things. One, that people don't want to pay hundreds of dollars for a break-in. They want to pay $45. I'm happy to do it for $45 as long as the business keeps coming. I don't plan on raising my prices. The stuff I buy is relatively inexpensive. And so I'm charging that price based on knowledge and know-how, but also because I think that's a fair price. I'm not looking to get rich off this. I've enjoyed meeting a lot of you guys. Some of you as young as like 14 and 15, some of you as old as 45. We're all in the same boat. We want to have a ball that's easy to throw, that's broken in well, and that will maintain its color, feel, shape, all those things for the long haul. These things aren't cheap. And so, yeah, I think it's fair that that we, continue to do this for a low dollar cost. And if you guys want to keep asking questions afterward, once I sell you something, no problem. Happy to help. It's a labor of love for me, And I did explode my right ACL yesterday playing football. So I'll have some time on my hands coming up here to do some more balls and help with the balls that I've sold. So thank you again for watching. Your support is very important to me, and I appreciate it very much. And we'll see you next time.